Hi, I'm Dada Groover, and I am an award-winning speaker and author, and I'm also the founder of the Awakened School. I've been putting out weekly videos now for a couple of months, and I missed last week because I was at my brother's memorial service in Texas. And I'm very sad about that. And for this week's video, I didn't have another thing I wanted to talk about. That's the long story short. And, it's funny because, well, is it funny? One thing I have been thinking about, because, when you lose somebody close to you, it brings up things. It makes you kind of look at everything in a different perspective. At least it did for me. And one of the things that I realize is this is something we all have in common, because at some point in time, we're going to lose somebody close to us. That is going to happen, I believe, without exception. And what I felt inspired was to share with you today the short speech. It was a 5-minute eulogy, if you want to call it that. Really a celebration of my brother's life. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm hoping you'll enjoy it. But I don't have more to say today. I really don't. So here it is. Thanks for tuning in.
Dada, come on up. And I don't know, if I were in Rob's place, I don't know if I'd be nervous or not for my brothers to be up here sharing. But we appreciate you honoring your brother by doing this today.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And yeah, Rob might be just a little bit nervous, but thank you for being here. So as Pastor Dave said earlier, Rob had a brilliant intellect, and a lot of us knew that. Probably everyone who came in contact with him. And he could argue with you that the sky was green. And there's a good chance that you'd walk away from that discussion saying, yep, he's probably right. We had a very friendly argument. It was probably 11 years ago. This was in Louisville. It was about phase transmission and conversion. And, it was friendly, that we didn't come to blows or anything. And he was trying to convince me that he was right. And I was trying to convince him that I was right. And anyone here know groovers pretty well? It wasn't that funny. Actually, it was. Anyway, so he, I said, look, and I told him, so I know a little something about electrical engineering, and I have some credentials to that extent. And he just said, just look it up, bro. And I did, knowing that I was going to be right? And I looked it up, and I found out that he was right. Wow, that was a shocker. And I went back to him, and I said, you were right. And you know what he said to me? You already know what he said to me. He said, yes, of course I was. Your dad. Your dad, obviously. And he smiled when he said it. That was the best part. He was totally smiling. And, he was intensely curious, right? He was curious about everything. He knew so much about so many things. And so creative, so incredibly creative. You mentioned a dozen instruments. I want to say at least a couple dozen that he played. And I would say he played at least a dozen well. At least a dozen well. And what I believe, though, if you want to see his greatest brilliance, if you want to look at his greatest brilliance, it was in that brilliance in creating this amazing, loving, blended family. And this is something, and I said this to my wife so many times. It's like amazing what he did. Look at these kids. Look at this family. Right? How often have you heard me say that? A lot. Thank you. But Rob and I, we were not friends when we grew up together. No, we weren't. We were seriously not friends. We were in, a lot of conflict, and I wasn't simply just another annoying younger brother. I was not. Illustrate. When he was taking a nap in the afternoon, he was 16, I was 10. He was taking a nap in the afternoon. Marcia already knows what's coming. And his window was just a little bit open, so I pushed it a little farther open, and I put the garden hose through his window. Did I mention that that window was right over his bed? So I had turned the water off in the basement to the outside hose bibs. And so I went down, and I wanted to do it this way because this is my evil nature as a kid. I hope I grew out of it, maybe. I wanted to hear his feet hit the floor when I turned the water on. So I went under there, and I turned that thing full force, and it was about a second delay. I did not hear his feet hit the floor. I heard his whole body rolling out of bed. Boom. And of course, I ran out the back door, and that was it. Until later on in the afternoon, when I came back to the house, he had my brothers, thank you guys, by the way, grab me, hold me, and he hosed me down. And believe me, it was so totally worth it. But at least it was over, or so I thought. His revenge, which totally caught me by surprise. It shouldn't have, but it totally caught me by surprise. He put saccharin tablets in my peanut butter and put the lid back on. If you ever crunched a saccharin tablet, if you have, you would never, ever in your life do it again. And you can't get the taste out of your mouth for hours. He, of course, thought that was absolutely, absolutely hilarious. And, I've known Rob for my 64 years. I've known him well for 64 years. But we've only been friends for about 33, those last 33 of those years. And we've been close friends for the last 13 of those years. And for me, that's the greatest gift. That's the greatest gift. I mean, it's a gift when you can, excuse me. It's a gift when you can grow up with your siblings, be friends. That's a wonderful thing. But to build that friendship as adults, that's the greatest thing. I will always miss my oldest brother. And I will always be grateful for the gift of his friendship.